All right, everybody, it's time for a deep dive into the wild world of TikTok, specifically the deepest, darkest, most embarrassing, most cringe corners of TikTok, which is Metalhead TikTok. Let's take a look at it. It's been a while since we've done this. Let's see if Metalhead TikTok is any less cringe than before. My guess is that the cringe levels are the same. You know what? I need to get, like, in like the Chernobyl movies, they have like the radiation counter goes like, you know, it's like, careful, sir, careful, we're entering dangerous territory. The meter's lighting up like a Christmas tree with the radiation levels. I need that, but with like a cringe meter for these TikToks. Sir, the cringe levels are off the charts. We have to pull back now before it's too late. They're like, I'm damned if I'm gonna pull out now, soldier. We're moving forward. Okay. And also, I wanted to mention something new that I'm doing, which is a YouTube coaching program. If you're an individual creator or you're a company, really anybody that wants to grow on YouTube, this is for you. Basically, this is a way to download everything that I have learned about YouTube over the past 7 years from my brain into yours. There's a pretty common set of challenges that pretty much everybody runs into on YouTube. I've run into pretty much all of them. And with this coaching program, I can help you get past those a lot faster than I did figuring it out on my own. For example, in my opinion, the single most important thing for any channel is figuring out the right niche for your content. Like, what should you focus on and how do you talk about it? For example, for me on this channel, once I found that, I went from getting, you know, a couple hundred views a video to tens of thousands of views per video, literally almost overnight. You can see it right here. And also the right approach to things like titles and thumbnails and how to structure your videos to keep people's attention. All that stuff that took me years to figure out on my own through trial and error. I just want to help you speed run all of that. I am super excited about this, and I'm going to be putting a lot of time and energy into it over the course of the year. And if you want to find out more about it, you can just hit the link in the description of this video. First one we have here is shooting my shot with a cute metalhead guy.
Damn, you fine as hell. Hey, yo, think I can get you?
His ex, his crush, his best friend. Mayhem is his favorite band. She has no chance, she thinks, with this cute metalhead guy, because I mean, look at all these baddies that are in his life. His hot ex, his hot crush, his e-girl best friend. She's screwed, right? Yeah, this is true too. Mayhem is the biggest red flag out of all that. I'm very confused with this idea. Yeah, did a metalhead pay this girl to make this? This is my question. Where is this idea coming from? Yeah, do we live in an alternate reality where normies want metalheads? That's the question. It's like, where's this thirst for metalhead guys coming from? I'm very confused. Like, there's been this thing for a while, of course, of, you know, metal guys thirsting after goth girls, but I kind of get that because, like, the goth girls that you see on TikTok, you know, they basically just like, they just look like OnlyFans, like porn girls. So I get that, you know. But the metal guys, where is this thirst for metal guys coming from? I feel like these people maybe have never actually met a metal guy in reality. Maybe they watched Lords of Chaos, because that's one of the Culkin brothers is in Lords of Chaos, right? Like, maybe they watched Lords of Chaos and they think that that's what metalhead guys are like. In reality, I think they're probably going to be in for a little bit of a rude awakening when they actually meet one. Yeah, they've certainly never smelled a metal guy. Yes. So listen, for any ladies who might be watching, if you have this idea of thirsting over some hot metalhead, let me just sort of perhaps correct your perception here. That hot metalhead guy in your head, he doesn't actually exist. So my advice is abort mission now. Well, you still can. That's what I think. Related here, this is a little bit more realistic. TikTok metalheads, when they actually go to a show and it's just a bunch of sweaty old dudes, I think this is a little bit more realistic.
Where are all the hot people? I was told that there would be all these attractive singles, and as far as I can tell, I'm the best looking person here.
I think this is a little bit more accurate. This is what happens when metal fashion becomes cool. I've seen this happen at a Bad Omens show. Well, I've never seen Bad Omens because I feel like if I went to a Bad Omens show, everyone would probably assume that I was just like bringing my daughter there or something like that. I'd feel like I would be very out of place and uncomfortable. So I've never been to a Bad Omens show. I feel like it's better if I don't go to a Bad Omens show, but I could imagine this happening. It kind of reminds me of like back in the MySpace days with like the scene kids, right? It's like we would see these pictures. Let me see if I can find one. You would see these pictures of scene kids with this like really perfectly done hair and makeup and all that stuff. And you thought that there was this world of scene kids that looked like this, but in reality, the scene kids were just like, you know, usually just some like dirty kid wearing like an Escape the Fate shirt, like in pajamas and an Invader Zim backpack, like shuffling around the food court at the mall, right? So I think there's a big disconnect between what people think, you know, internet culture is in real life. Yeah, these girls all had crusty hair and smelled like onion rings. Yes. So I feel bad for these TikTok metalheads at the moment when they experience real life metal culture and realize that perhaps it's not actually what they thought it was on TikTok. It's going to be tough. And you know what? We're here for you when you have that moment of realizing how gross metal actually is. I'll be here for you. I'll take you in. I'll give you a pat. I'll say, they're there. It's not too late to turn your life around and start listening to pop country. Yeah, scene kids are good at dressing up for videos and pics. They are, but that doesn't mean that's actually how they look. Speaking of cringe, you remember I said a little while ago that I wanted to make Narcan for cringe? If you don't know, Narcan is the thing. If someone's having like an opiate overdose, there's a thing called Narcan. It's a little spray that you shoot up their nose that they can be like literally flatlining, like dying of an opiate overdose. You shoot it up their nose. All of a sudden they're like... They come out of their overdose and they're alive again. I want to make that, but for cringe. And I'm telling you right now, before we watch this, I would like you to have your cringe Narcan on hand because this one's rough. This one's rough. Let's check it out. This is Gavin Cole. And what he does is these like very aggressive, almost like hard style dances in his mom's basement. It's rough. So please prepare yourself. You might want to stretch and hydrate a little bit before we watch this one.
What comes after 1, 2? What comes after 2? I can only count to 4. I can only count to 4. I can only count to 4.
At first, I thought it was bad enough, okay? I thought, oh, he's doing these like aggressive hardstyle dances in his socks in mom's rumpus room with this puzzle floor from like, you know, 1972 to Disturbed. And then I realized, no, this isn't even Disturbed. This is Psycho Stick doing their like parody of Disturbed. And I don't know if he thinks that this is Disturbed. I don't know what he thinks that's going on here, but listen, I was pretty bad when I was 19 years old. I'll show you how bad I was when I was 19 years old. Okay, we just talked about it, but here's how much of a fucking virgin I was when I was 19. Absolutely horrifying. Turbo virgin level 9 fucking million when I was 19, going to hardcore shows like this, dressed like a fucking Costco dad. And yet, I feel like what I was doing when I was 19 was less cringe than this. Gavin, listen, it's not too late to turn your life around. You don't have to be this guy. I'm a fan of this girl. This is Fuck Tori. I don't know who she is, but I'm a fan of her. Let's check this out. It says here, me arriving at the most insufferable person contest, but my competition is a TikTok nu metal fan. Impossible. Forfeit. I like it. I'm a fan of this for a couple reasons. Yeah, it's right. Too OP. It's too OP. For so many years, being an elitist, a metal elitist gatekeeper has exclusively been the domain of like these dusty, old, ugly men. And what I've been seeing here on TikTok, which I'm very encouraged by this, is there's this trend of like these pretty young girls being elitist metal gatekeepers. And I gotta say, I like it. It's a nice change of pace. It's refreshing. Yeah, her competition was Gavin. It's refreshing to see this. And so I said, well, who are your credentials to be a metal elitist young lady? And I checked it out, and I gotta say, I'm on board with it. For example, she says here, fuck your zodiac sign. What's your favorite slam sample? And she's getting down here to peeling flesh. I'm on board. Or this one here. We've got a TikTok nu metal fan here, a little bit butthurt. I'd rather listen to nu metal than listen to blah, 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 where an old man burps on my ear for 5 minutes straight. And she said, L opinion, slam. I'm on board. People, it's a sign that Earth is healing. The world is healing. We now have a new generation of young female metal elitist gatekeepers putting the guys in place. And I gotta say, I'm on board with it. She's got them on their heels. You know, I gotta give her a follow. Shout out to Fuck Tori, my kind of content. I like this one a lot. When they call you emo, but you're a metalhead.
Is it like your whole emo look they're into, or what? Yeah, long flowing ponytail, very emo.
One of my favorite things, of course, is calling metalheads anything other than a metalhead, deliberately misgenrering a metal band or a metal person, because for whatever reason, I feel like this is like the most triggering thing in the world for them, is to be called anything other than the metalhead. Like, refer to their band as screamo or hard rock. Yeah, Bathory, my favorite screamo band. For some reason, if you refer to a metal band as anything other than metal, it just makes black smoke shoot out of their ears. I feel like once my son is old enough to have friends who are into metal, or to know kids at school who are into metal, I look forward to playing the role of the clueless dad that calls it screamo. Like, oh, that's cool. You guys are into Metallica and Slayer. Yeah, I was into that hard rock screamo stuff back when I was in school too. That's cool. I love screamo. What's your favorite screamo band? It also reminds me of, if you remember back in the MySpace days, there was a big beef between emo and scene. Do you remember this? That, like, especially the scene kids would get really mad if you called them emo. Like, oh, Mom, I'm not emo, I'm scene. It's totally different. And there would be, like, you know, WikiHow articles that would, like, outline the difference between emo and scene. So I'm glad to see that people are still angered by getting misgenred. Embarrassing my kids is what life is all about. I look forward to it. My son is too young to be embarrassed by me yet, but soon enough, I'm sure. Okay, I like this one a lot too.
Rest in peace to all the soldiers that died in the service. I died in her.
I like this one. Saluting all the girls that survived dating an under 5'8". I'm on board with this just in general. This sort of new generation of girls who were talking shit and putting the guys on their heels. For years, being a picky, pedantic shithead on the internet has been the domain of men, and I'm happy to see that women are now doing their part. For example, when I was talking about Brie Larson in a video a while ago, and somebody called her plain, like, oh, plain face Brie Larson. That's this guy here. You're being this guy, like, oh, you think Brie Larson is plain? Interesting. Okay. What's your idea of not plain? That's my question. So for years, men have been the exclusive holders of the title of being, like, basically shitty, materialistic, judgmental assholes on the internet. And I'm happy to see that girls are now taking up the mantle and doing their part. But I'm not joking. Non-ironically, I like this because men need to get a taste of what it feels like to have somebody make a shallow snap judgment about you based on your appearance. That's right. We've been the hunters. Now we're the huntee. I gotta say, as someone who's just shy of 6 feet, I'm 5'11", just short of 6 feet, and I just feel like I'm glad that I was spared. I feel like she should have said dating a guy under 6 feet tall or under 6'1". I think that would have been the move. That would have been more enraging, but still, I'll take it. She's learning. She's got some work to do, but she's learning. Okay, this is an interesting one here. 5 myths about metalheads. Let's see.
It's about metalheads. Debunked. All metalheads worship Satan. This hosh-posh of a myth has been around since the birth of metal music.
See, I don't think this is true at all. I don't think anybody thinks now that metalheads worship Satan. It's like metalheads have a very distorted view of how the world sees them, meaning like nobody in 2024 thinks that metalheads are like satanic, right? Like that. I don't know where they're getting this from. I think that they badly want to be persecuted by the world, but in reality, the world just doesn't care.
This is absolutely not the case for most metalheads. Not today, Satan. Metalheads are always angry, unless they're a tantrum-bound preschooler or a metal elitist in the comment section.
I was going to say, based on my comments, I feel like a lot of metalheads are tantrum-bound preschoolers, but then he made it clear he's talking about metal elitists in the comment section, which, of course, is indeed the people who I interact with. So, fair point. Fair point.
You'll find that most metalheads are actually kind-hearted creatures.
I'm a female and I'm 5'8", and I've dated a shorter dude and it was just awkward. Well, you could get him a pair of platform shoes, or maybe you could just do him the courtesy of, like, if he's giving you a kiss, you could just sort of duck down a little bit so you're looking up at him so that he feels tall. That's what I would do. Just like, ooh, hey there, king. You know, and you're sort of like shrinking down in your chair a little bit just to make him feel better. That's what I would do. Yeah, pick him up and kiss him. That's right. Like, hi, sweetie. Pick him up like a baby. Give him a kiss. I love you so much.
Metalheads only listen to metal music. Your average metal enjoyer appreciates a wide variety of different music genres.
Here's the average metalhead's musical taste. So like my tastes are just all over the place. I'll listen to anything from Slayer to Amon Amarth. I'll listen to anything from Invent, Animate to Era. I'm just all over the place. Man, if you saw one of my Spotify playlists, you'd think I was crazy because I listen to anything from Lorna Shore to Of Sulfur. I'm all over the place.
Metalheads are stupid. Normies may think the ear-loud bang-boom of metal music will slowly melt your brain, but the only thing melting here is that myth.
I don't think metalheads are stupid. I would say they're like, you know, in terms of like intelligence, like IQ, I would say, you know, maybe even above average. In terms of emotional intelligence, well, then we're getting into special needs territory. Metalheads and emotional intelligence, definitely special needs territory.
Metalheads hate country music. You betcha!
Now that one is true. This is my favorite thing about metalheads is like how ignorant they are about country. Like as soon as you start talking about country, they trot out all just the most ignorant stereotypes about like, oh, all those country songs are about kissing your sister and driving a truck and drinking beer and beating your dog. The same way that your like ignorant aunt talks about metal, like, oh, isn't that your kill your mother, kill your father, worship Satan music? And she's talking about Pierce the Veil. This is how metalheads sound when they talk about country. So I can confirm that that one is true. Here's an interesting one from Strong Waifu here, and she says, watching the teenager with perfectly good spine start deadlifting with the most atrocious form. I can't interfere. It's a canon event. Now, there's a few things that are interesting here. The main one being that it's interesting to me how fitness has become part of like metal now, maybe in the past, 10 years or something like that, because the idea of like people being into, any kind of guitar music and doing any kind of physical activity was like basically unheard of, 15 or 20 years ago. And now I feel like, all the guys, it's like, oh, you have a bushy beard and you listen to Amon Amarth and you're into powerlifting. It's like kind of predictable, and even a lot of the girls are into it too. What is interesting here is that perhaps the only people more irritating than like metal nerds are powerlifting nerds, fitness nerds in general. Absolutely insufferable know-it-alls that have to correct you about absolutely anything and everything. So when you look at it from that perspective, it actually makes a lot of sense that metal fans would also be into stuff like powerlifting, because it's another way for them to be like punishing overly opinionated, negative nerds that can act like irritating know-it-alls in the comment sections of the internet. So at first I thought it was weird, but when I thought about it from that perspective, now it makes a little bit more sense to me. Same girl again here, Fuck Tori, doing a little bit more gatekeeping, which I'm a fan of this. I am a fan of female gatekeeping here. So she says, if you listen to Slipknot, Deftones, Bad Omens, Megadeth, or Nirvana, stay the fuck away from me. I like it. I would like to see more female gatekeeping in this world, so I'm on board with it. Shout out to Tori, spearheading the female gatekeeping movement. I'm on board with it. Here's another one. I thought this was kind of interesting. There's this song Goth Bitch that's been like, trending on TikTok because now it's cool to be into goth girls. So you can hear the song. But this guy, he's not like all the other goth girl enjoyers. He's a real goth girl enjoyer.
Goth bitch, slim thick, real thick, cute bitch, wrist slit, fishnet type shit.
The goth bitch in question, e-girl who dresses in black with a small choker and a little bit of liner. And then he says in the caption here, men like that are trash. Stop fetishizing a category of people, even though goth peoples are hot, because it's just a weird and awkward thing. They don't find you attractive when you saw them like that, especially when you don't know a shit of their culture. So he's got a little bit of European personality disorder here. The ESL, I think, helps a lot. Yes, that's right. The White Knight has entered the arena. So this is the equivalent. I remember this guy. I saw at a show back in the 90s. I saw this guy standing in the like corner of the room at a show. He had like a hoodie on and it was open, and underneath he was wearing a shirt. I'm not joking. He was wearing a shirt that said in like giant letters, it said, "Women are not sex objects." And I was like, oh, okay, we found the guy that badly wants to get laid. It's like, oh, I hope some girl walks into the room and she's so impressed with how enlightened you are, with what a strong male feminist you are, that she rewards you with sex. Good luck, my friend. I feel like this guy's kind of doing the same thing here. He's like, hey, goth girls, I just want you to know I'm the #1 goth bitch respecter on the internet. So if any of you sexy goth girls out there want a guy that respects you properly and you would like to reward me with sex for respecting goth girls so much, please, my DMs are open. And I like this here. He says, stop fetishizing a category of people, even though goth peoples are hot. So he says, don't fetishize goth girls, comma, goth girls are hot. My friend, white knighting is going to get you nowhere other than the friend zone. So that's my advice. Yeah, that's my advice. Last one. I like this one. POV, your boyfriend is a metalhead. Stroking his beautiful blonde hair. Look at that. He looks like a Barbie. Beautiful golden locks. Metalheads are very interesting. It's like the only kind of people who believe that having like perfectly groomed straight blonde hair that goes halfway down your back is somehow like makes you a masculine Viking warrior. Very interesting people. I gotta say, if I could have a beautiful, long, flowing golden mane like this, I would do it. So is it cringe? It's a little cringe, but, you know, as someone who no longer has a head of hair, I'm on board with it, actually. I think you got the right idea. And that does it for this edition of Metalhead TikTok Cringe. Join us next time for even more. And don't forget to bring your cringe Narcan. You're going to need it. They've certainly never smelled the metal guy. Yes.